everybody. It's Allie, and welcome to our Y&R Chat for Sunday, February 20th, 2022. We are starting to think that Keemo has something to do with it. Everybody stand back. Give me some air. I can't breathe. Keemo, is that you? After all these years, Jack's long lost son on the show in 94, left the show in 96. Could it be that Keemo is sending the mysterious text messages to Jack, luring him to LA for a meeting? Oh, please let that be true. Please let that be true. You cannot possibly know how much this means to me. You just can't know. I started watching the show in 93. Keemo came on in 94. This takes me right back to the dawn of the era where I started watching Y&R. I loved Keemo. I loved Philip Moon, the actor who played him, although I am assuming that we would be dealing with a recast here. I'm assuming that they would recast Keemo to be someone younger. Oh, please let him be a sexy bad boy. Oh, please let him be a sexy bad boy. Oh, please let him be a sexy bad boy. Forget about Kyle forever. We don't even need him anymore. Keemo could be back. Maybe he could be wanting revenge on Jack. As I remember, Keemo got a little bitter toward the end of his run. Well, he was bitter at first, just finding out that Jack was his father, finding out as an adult that Jack was his father. But throughout his time on the show, he warmed up and he became a very nice guy. But then that vixen, Mary Jo Mason, got her claws into him, and Keemo did get a little sour right before he left 25 years ago, never to have been heard from again, except me. I've been begging for his return since then. I have had a disease for the last 25 years that only chemotherapy could heal. I lost my mind when I saw that Friday preview. That Friday preview was worth watching the whole week for me. And, might I add, with Tracy there. Tracy in that preview, adding a big cherry on top of it all. Oh my gosh, I am on a cloud nine Keemo Sunday right now. And I fully believe that we willed this into existence, Y&R chatters. There is only one tiny little corner of the Y&R fandom who consistently talks about Keemo, and that's right here at Y&R Chat. This storyline is like tailor-made for me and 5 other people. It's almost too good to be true. It's a dream come true. I swear, though, Y&R, don't you dare even put Keemo's name into anybody's mouth after all of this time if you do not plan to materialize him. If you do not materialize Keemo now that you have mentioned his name, I will burn this place to the ground, I swear. I will wander into the Y&R Chat studios late one night after having drank way too much, and I will light a match and burn the whole thing to the ground. Don't test me. Sharon burned down the ranch, and I will too. And Adam has finally broken his unspoken vow of celibacy. And Sally Girl has finally managed to catch her first big fish in this town. Not a bad fish to catch either. Ooh, I have to say, that office sex scene was fun. That scene flowed. That scene had movement. We had multiple angles, multiple locations, up against the wall, on top of the desk, on the sofa, all the places. They had sex in all the places that room had to offer. And, as a bonus, on Friday, Adam and Sally had sex in all the places that a hotel room had to offer. Well, wait, mostly the bed. But that's all that really matters. I mean, given the lack of beds in this town, that is really something special. Oh, I'm in. I am in. I just hope that Adam and Sally do go public with their relationship soon, because Victoria is a shark circling them in the water. Victoria is just looking for a reason to de-seat Adam and get him out of her way. And I can just see Victoria maybe pulling a stunt like having Adam and Sally photographed and then printing it all over town and splashing it all over the internet. Oh, goodness, because it would look like, CEO and COO are sneaking around together. What a scandal. That would be probably enough to give Victoria a reason to fire them both. I love that now Adam has someone that he can confide in. Someone that he can feel relaxed around. It's almost totally weird to even see Adam being comfortable with someone, let alone seeing Adam being sexual with someone, being playful with someone. I don't think that we've ever seen this actor, this Adam, being this way. Adam is usually so tortured in love, and now he is just happy. He's just in this happy sex bubble of bliss. And it looks good on him. It was really kind of funny, though, to see Victor just about ready to pop that sex bubble of bliss right after Victoria took absolute pleasure in being the one to inform Victor that Adam had hired Sally as his COO. And, you know, Victor knows what's going on here. I'm pretty sure that Victor can see what's motivating Adam these days. I'm sure that Victor remembers his days of being a younger man with sex on the brain. So Victor doesn't pursue it. He kind of agrees to go along with it. Lets Adam have his fun. Lets Adam make this decision. But I think it's really more about Victor just needing Adam right now, not wanting to lose Adam right now. Victor needs an ally. Victor needs a spy. And Victor needs not to alienate Adam because Ashland Locke is the bigger threat, and he needs Adam to be able to help him facilitate the finding out of what's going on with Ashland and ultimately the bringing of Ashland down. Did you guys notice Ashland sitting behind Victoria's desk for the first time this week? Oh, he sat right down in the chair and he made himself real comfortable, and he was kind of swiveling around, moving around, pointing his finger, soaking up the power. I don't think we've ever seen Ashland sitting at Victoria's desk before, and that to me felt very telling. Victoria didn't seem to mind it. I think Victoria and Ashland both think that they have got it all figured out. I think Victoria is more focused on just getting Adam out of the way. She trusts Ashland, obviously. She's more focused on trying to figure out how she's going to get rid of Adam and also what her father is up to. Ashland is a little more hot under the collar. Ashland is trying to focus on building up his own power base, getting some allies into the company that can help him, and he's also busy trying to run interference on the whole Peruvian secret. I just don't know what this secret is going to be, because it has to be bad, but not bad enough so that the audience ends up hating him. I'm not sure where this is headed. I think we all know that there's going to be more to the story because we've seen Ashland getting so hot under the collar about all of it, and specifically about the fact that Michael, aka the American, is snooping around at the clinic in Peru. And it looks like next week, maybe we're gonna get a little more movement on that. I hope so. Michael has managed to dig up some dirt from one of the former clinic doctors. And Michael has, purchased this information, this story from the clinic doctor for, a nominal fee. Exactly what message was Noah trying to send by gifting Mariah and Tessa a weird Photoshop effect picture of Mariah and that other girl? That wasn't Tessa. That looked like Mariah in that painting, but for sure that was not Tessa. I don't know who that was. Looked nothing like her. Maybe that was just Noah's way of subtly trying to tell Mariah to get a new girlfriend. Oh, that painting. I have to toot my own horn a little bit here, because if you would just give me the original photo of Mariah and Tessa that painting was based on, I can give you a better version of that thing in 30 seconds. Photoshop, effects, accented edges, done. I know how to Photoshop. Thank you. They should have sent it to me. I would have delivered. Much better. That's all I'm saying. Oh, I'm sorry, graphic designers at Y&R. It was fine. It was fine. Just the Tessa part was a little uncanny. Mariah looked great, though. Oh. I keep going back and forth about all of this. My gosh. I mean, that Valentine's Day episode, Noah was so tortured looking. And, I feel like we could read anything into Noah and his actions at this point, because the writers have given us nothing to go on. I feel like we just don't know this Noah at all. On the one hand, it was Valentine's Day. Why did he choose to show up at Mariah and Tessa's apartment? with a housewarming gift on a day that you might be expecting them to have some romantic plans. Was he trying to interrupt them? Was he wanting to see Tessa? Was he feeling lonely and just wanted to see her? Or was Noah just genuinely trying to clear the air after all of the weirdness that came out last week and the week before? Was Noah just trying to do something nice for two people that he cares about, and specifically his sister? I just don't know. I feel like outside of some kind of yucky physical violence thing, there's just nothing that Noah's going to be able to do to tear Mariah and Tessa apart anyway. It's clear that Tessa has chosen Mariah. Tessa sang that to Mariah over and over again in her beautiful song this week, which surprisingly I really loved. You know me, I typically do not like musical interludes on the show. When somebody breaks out into song, I'm like, ugh, I'm over it immediately. But I think it's because Tessa has become such a regular cast member. We're seeing her a lot. I've connected with her a lot. It makes the music come off more naturally. I don't just get the feeling from her that she's a musical act, you know? She's part of the show, and that really works for me. And she told Mariah in this song, in no uncertain terms, I choose you. I choose you. It was the perfect sentiment for this exact moment in their relationship when you have Noah kind of around the peripheral of the situation. But Tessa and Mariah have had a long journey, and it hasn't been perfect. Neither one of them are perfect, but they have reaffirmed to each other over and over that they are in this together. So I just don't see what Noah's going to do to change that. And that makes me think that maybe if there is going to be a rocky road ahead for Mariah and Tessa, then maybe it will end up cropping up as problems with the adoption process. We had Mariah and Tessa this week giving Noah an update on that, and Mariah mentioned that, I don't know, I mean, we want to be parents, but the road to that seems like it is gonna be pretty rocky. So I don't know. Are Mariah and Tessa going to find some kind of insurmountable hurdle in the adoption process? I hope not. I'd love to see them become parents, but I also would really, really like to see Nikki get the opportunity to call Sharon Granny. Oh, I love Faith and Moses exactly where they are. I love young love. These are two teens who are still trying to get to know themselves while trying to test the waters on getting to know someone else. That is a very specific moment in time. You never get it back. And I really like being able to explore that with them. Moses asking Faith's dad for Valentine's Day gift advice was adorable. I mean, what boyfriend goes to a girl's dad for that? The best boyfriend ever, that's who. Most 17-year-old guys would have maybe gotten a box of chocolates and a single rose and stopped at that. Or worse, I don't even know what other awful things a 17-year-old guy would have come up with on his own, but it was fun to see the advice-seeking element. It was fun to see Faith seeking advice from her mom also on what to get for Moses. And I couldn't help but feel like, oh, okay, well, here's where Sharon's years of experience, we'll call it, with men, really is going to come in handy for helping her daughter through this next stage. Dating advice for her daughter. That is perfect. Yes. I think both Nick and Sharon are going to still have so much to offer these youngins. But it's also clear that the situation is making Ray feel increasingly restless. Ray's kind of on the outside of Sharon's family right now, and he doesn't have to be. He's not, he is family. He's been embraced as family, but it would be easy to start to feel insecure around all of that. I wonder if Ray feels like he doesn't really have an official place in the family, and like maybe his advice is just not needed because anything and everything that Nick and Sharon have to say would obviously trump that, would obviously weigh more because it's their own children. So Ray's feeling a little bit at a loose end while we have Chelsea now. We have Chelsea there, keeping her eye on Ray, being friendly with Ray, offering lots of good stuff to Ray and his life. I mean, things with Sharon could get a little heavy. Things about Sharon and Nick could get a little heavy in Ray's mind. Meanwhile, from now on, when he's bumping into Chelsea, she's giving him smiles and inspiration and light, and she wants his advice. She's getting ready to start a new chapter of her life. Anything Ray has to give her, she's happy to welcome with open arms. Oh my gosh, I can't believe Lauren agreed to take Chelsea and Chloe back. Lauren gave Chelsea and Chloe's business plan the green light this week, but we can officially declare that Chelsea 2.0 is dead. The old line, Chelsea 2.0, is dead. Now it's time to make room for Bella Milcana, Philip Newman, Abbott Winters Chancellor, Fashions. Do you like that name? Bella Milcana, Philip Newman, Abbott Winters Chancellor, Fashions. I think that's pretty good. It just came to me. Chance just does not seem to fit into his own life. He feels like he doesn't fit into fatherhood. He feels like he doesn't fit into husbandhood. And he doesn't even fit into his old job. This week, Chance went back to the scene of the crime and had a real moment. Chance has been flying pretty high for 2 to 3 weeks now, but finally something in him snapped. We saw in a flashback how totally freaked out Chance was during the perp bust with Ray. And then Chance freaked out on Ray when Abby asked Ray to talk to Chance about it all, to try to get Chance to open up to her about it, which admittedly I think probably is inappropriate. But Abby's desperate. It's like she feels he won't open up to her, even though he has in some degrees opened up to her. She just can't seem to get through to him. He seems almost sometimes oblivious to her. But it seemed like maybe she has been able finally to convince Chance that he has a problem, and she tells him that he needs to get help for it now. I mean, there's no shame in getting some therapy. I'm sure that there is a therapist who can do a little work on the side when she's not busy running the coffee house. Someone who can help him out, listen to him, all in leather pants. I'm sure Sharon can put on her leather pants, grab her notebook, and listen to Chance. Happy to help him talk it out. Is that where this is finally headed? Is Chance actually going to get some therapy like the viewers have been asking for? Or, I don't know, maybe there's a new podcast that Chance can call into to get some advice. I just feel like this is more part of Y&R responding to fan reaction. I don't know. I'm just surprised that Y&R would not have shown Chance having a breakdown before. Why are we seeing Chance having the breakdown now? I mean, it makes total sense that Chance would be struggling, but why did Y&R show us that scene now instead of when the accusation was floating around in the air that he was an unfit parent or something? If I had seen that scene around the time that Chance was feeling like an unfit parent, then maybe that would have changed the dynamic a little bit. I don't know. Maybe Y&R did it because we're about to find out that Chance is Dominic's biological father after all. Well, we learned this week that Dominic, has a rare blood disorder. Can you believe it? After everything, now Dominic has a rare blood disorder, and he is going to need a bone marrow transplant. And of course, Abby and Devon both want to donate their bone marrow immediately, but the specialist tells them, don't get your hopes up, because at best, a parent can only be a 50% match. Oh, but wait! By the stroke of some miracle, we find out that Devon is a 100% match. Well, how the heck could that be? How exactly could that be? If a parent can only be 50%, how can Devon be 100%? Okay. Okay, I can see the writing on the wall. Sorry, Devon. Thanks so much for the bone marrow. We'll appreciate it forever. But you're not the bio dad after all. That was the sound of my head exploding. And not in a good way. More in a I don't have a head now way. Fine. Well, if Devon's not the bio dad, then who the heck is? And more importantly, are we gonna have to change Dominic's name again? Somebody better go get Neil's pen. We have another edit to make. Should Billy host a podcast, chatters? That's our poll question for the week at yrchat.com. Do you like the idea of Billy becoming a podcast host? Or are you ready to cancel the show before it's even gotten off the ground? Can't wait to see you guys and what you have to say about that, because I tell you, I'm really kind of loving the idea. I love the podcast network idea. I love the idea that Billy could host one for himself. Midnight Musings. That's a great title. And I can just totally see Billy late at night in kind of a low light situation, drinking a glass of bourbon or something, having his headphones on and just getting real close into his microphone, talking in his smooth, sexy nighttime voice, pouring out his heart and his soul in that kind of black and white detective way that we saw during the Billy gum chewing days. I just think that this could be really interesting. We can spend some time just on Billy and Billy's stories, but then we could also bring on some other guests that he could talk to. Of course, he would need to make a few friends for that to work. He doesn't really have any friends or allies in this town, but we can work on that. Oh, I don't know. I think this could be a really great, fresh start for the character, and I'm totally ready to give it a chance. I think that Jason Thompson does a great job with these long monologues, and that's not easy to do, having a really long monologue and keeping it moving, keeping it interesting. It's something that's not easy, and it's something that he's very talented at. I think in smaller spurts, like I don't want to see a whole episode of Billy podcast, but I think in smaller spurts, it could be something really rich, something that we really could dig our teeth into, sink our teeth into here. And plus, I would rather see Billy dishing up dirt on his own psyche rather than just continuing on the same path of dishing up revenge on Adam and or Victor. Amanda and Imani going to work for Chancellor Industries is it's the one business consolidation that I'm struggling to get on board with. We've had a lot of changes lately. Making Chancecom become Chancellor Industries, loved it. Making Newman Media and Newman Locke merge, loved it. Setting Chloe and Chelsea out on their own to create their own fashion house, loved it. But lawyers need to be independent, you know? I don't want Amanda and Imani to just be corporate attorneys. It wasn't really that exciting when Amanda was just working for Chancecom. And also, I don't think one company needs them both. I feel like we need both Amanda and Imani to be accessible to any of the characters, anywhere, anytime, to maximize the drama. But then again, I guess it just depends on where Y&R is deciding the drama is. I'm also struggling, though, with why Amanda and Imani would want to give up their dream of independence so quickly. I mean, they have put in all of the work already. They just got started, and it's only been a few weeks. Now they're ready to give up, and Imani's okay with it? That's the other thing. When did Imani become a pushover? Because she literally said to Amanda, well, it's ultimately your decision. It's ultimately your decision, Amanda, if you decide to blow up our plans. Okay, well, I guess it just all boils down to money. I mean, Amanda said, well, you know, it's going to be exciting and the perks and the pay are going to be pretty good. So I guess they're choosing the money over the independence. So, I mean, okay, I have no choice. It's clear that Y&R has changed the plans for these two, and that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad thing. I just wonder if that also means that the plans have changed around Naya. I know I'm probably the only one who's like feeling connected to Naya and pulling for Naya to be back on the show, but I just wonder if this means we're done with Amanda's mom, unless I suppose Lily decides to offer Naya a job at Chancellor too. Hey, why not? I see what the show's doing here, though. I mean, the in-house, the cast was too separated. Everybody was working at too many different places. There was just, we need to bring them together under more consolidated roofs. I get where the show is going with it. And the one bright shining light that I can't see here came from the previews for next week, where Lily is offering Nate an alternative to Ashland's job proposal. Lily is asking Nate if he would instead like to come on board at Chancellor Industries. So maybe therein lies the plan. Maybe it's going to bring Nate and Elena and Imani somehow under the same daily roof for some drama. And strangely, maybe, based on Imani's little offhand comment, maybe this is going to bring Lily and Billy and Amanda under the same daily roof for some drama, too. Yep, Phyllis is back. And guess what? She has decided to stay in Genoa City after all. Can you believe that? She turned down this fabulous Milan job offer and turned down an opportunity to work with her daughter. Well, I am happy to have Phyllis stay in Genoa City. I think she's crazy and beautiful and never boring. And plus, Jack would just be completely lonely without her at this point. Who knows? Maybe Phyllis and Jack are on the cusp of some sort of exciting adventure, and maybe, you never know, this really could be the rebutting of their relationship. Phyllis did say that she decided against pursuing a relationship with Jack, and that could be true. It could be that Phyllis will find herself drawn back to Nick, and Phyllis and Nick will have a reunion, or it could also mean that Phyllis and Jack will just have a slow burn romance, something that neither of them are wanting to pursue, but just sort of happens. Maybe they could become fused together by the mysterious text message adventure that surely will lead to the dawn of the return of the Keemo Sabi. And who knows? This path could also lead to the return of Jabot. Facts are different from feelings. Can you even believe that Chance had the nerve to say that? After his whole, just getting, soaked in his feelings so much that he couldn't see that he was being a perfectly fine father to Dominic. Facts are different from feelings. Well, yeah, Chance, I wish you would have had that realization weeks ago before you signed away the custody of Dominic. Couldn't believe how totally rational he was there. And now we're right back to him being kind of on edge again. We've gone from edgy Chance to happy and well-adjusted Chance, and now we're right back to edgy Chance. Something feels off, but a lot of the show feels in flux right now, so maybe they've just decided on a direction and now they're going with it. That was a tough quote, though. Chance was trying to calm Abby's nerves over Dominic's illness and all that, and I was kind of thinking it would be a hard one for you guys to get, but I have to say, Daisy, Sandra, Henry, Victoria, Sue W, and Breen, Kamna, and Sharita, you guys all guessed it. It wasn't easy, but you guessed it. Let's see if you can get this one. I think this one might be tough too, but I don't know, something about this line just stuck out to me. Nobody in this room has clean hands. Nobody in this room has clean hands. Who said that? If you think you know, go to yrchat.com to leave your guess. And if you get it right, I will give you your shout out during next week's Y&R Chat. And now, let's read these comments. Victoria says, I am going to need the Cliff's Notes version on Keemo. I took a break during his and Lon's airing. Oh, Victoria, I'll be more than happy to give you the Cliff's Notes version of Keemo. It's 1994, and Jack realized that he had a long-lost love, a woman he met in Vietnam. That was when we notoriously realized that, at some point in Jack's history, he was a Vietnam soldier. Okay. I mean, it was terrible. There's no reason why anybody should love this storyline. It's only because it was at the genesis of my watching Y&R that I have any kind of affection for it. But Jack had this long lost love from Vietnam. Her name was Lon, and she was just lovely. I just really liked Lon too. And it came to be that Lon had given birth to Jack's son all those years ago and never told him. So Jack kind of had this instant family in Lon and Keemo. And by the way, Lon also had a daughter from a previous marriage whose name was, I think her name was Mai. So Lon and Mai and Keemo all came to Genoa City, and Lon ran a local restaurant. It was kind of, I don't know, just kind of interesting and cute, and I liked Lon a lot. I liked Keemo a lot. He didn't do a ton. He was mostly a misfit. I think a lot of his early story was centered around his anger toward Jack, or he didn't immediately take to Jack. It was a difficult relationship. This is all coming from my memory, by the way, so if you have different memories of it, please let me know. But I think a lot of his early story was just the difficulty of adjusting to Jack being his father, adjusting to life in Genoa City. Jack brought him into the fold at Jabot, of course, and he just didn't fit. He was mostly kind of a reserved guy, nice guy, and he was being thrown into the middle of this whole messy drama with another woman named Mary Jo Mason, who, by the way, ended up shooting Victor in that primetime episode. And I don't know what year that was, but maybe it was around 94. But Mary Jo Mason was nothing but trouble, and she wanted Jack. She wanted to be with Jack, and she was kind of using Keemo and sort of trying to have a relationship with him to make Jack jealous, and it just didn't work. Keemo didn't work at the end. That's why most people don't remember him, don't think of him. The character didn't work ultimately. He didn't fit with the rest of the cast. He didn't fit in the time and place of the cast. And I liked Keemo. I felt that he was, I connected with him for one reason or another. But as the years went on, I did kind of realize, okay, well, he was on a little bit of an island. But as the years continued to go on, I have thought, and we have talked about many times, that he really would have been a good person to bring back at multiple points in the history. Retool the character, get him into the fold at Jabot, give him a reason, give him a motive, make him a villain. Who cares? He was a whole son of Jack Abbott that just went ignored. Sue W. says, a Keemo storyline does not excite me any more than any random known or not character joining the cast. I remember nothing about Keemo except for who he is, presently lost in the Abbott family tree. Can't say I miss someone I barely remember. Should he be in Jack's life? I don't know, it's a soap. So his shelved existence hasn't exactly bothered me. Peter Bergman can sell anything, though, so sure, I could go with a Keemo coming around again. A mystery person is much more intriguing than a mystery gem. But if I had my druthers, I would prefer not to suffer through watching yet another angsty parent-child regret story. I think that's exactly what it would be if they did bring Keemo back. And again, I gotta say, you're totally right to not feel moved by this. It's only me. It literally just feels tailor-made for me and 5 other people. You're right to not feel passionate about this. But there is potential in here because he's an Abbott, because he could be someone who leads us back into Jabot. And I think it probably would be an angsty child-parent regret story, maybe similar to what Y&R did with Paul and Ricky. I loved Ricky. I thought that was fun. Show needs a multi-dimensional villain, and maybe we could use Keemo to facilitate that. I mean, Keemo could be the troublemaker that we've been asking for. We've taken a lot of our other characters and we've made them leads. Adam, for instance. We can't have Adam wreaking havoc, swapping babies in Genoa City anymore. He's a romantic lead. But someone like Keemo, who is relatively unknown, has a direct tie to one of the legacy families of the show, could be the perfect way to bring him in, spice him up, let him wreak some havoc, and then later, if it works, develop him into a more well-rounded character. It's also worth noting that Keemo and Lon and Mai were all Vietnamese. So we would be adding an Asian cast member to the show, which I think would be a breath of fresh air. There's just so much around this that feels like can be worked with and could have good in it. It's not inherently good, but it could be good. And boy, I hope it doesn't get messed up. We do have a lot of parent-child angst right now, as evidenced by this. T. Nicole says, I am confused about Dominic's bone marrow donor match. Can only biological family be tested? If not, why would Chance not get tested? Does Devon being a 100% match mean he's not Dominic's biological father? Can a stranger be a 100% match or only a sibling? Too many questions. I took Devon being a 100% match is that he could not be Dom's father after all, and to undo the story of giving Devon custody because the fans were outraged by that. Okay, first of all, I gotta say, why didn't Chance get tested? Was anybody else, like, driven crazy by the fact that both Devon and Abby jumped up immediately like, well, let me go get tested, and Chance just sat there? Didn't offer to get tested. We haven't had any kind of follow-up on that whatsoever. It's just day one, we need a bone marrow. Day two, Devon's a match. And I guess in the previews for next week, the surgery's already happened or whatever, the transfer, whatever it is. I don't know what bone marrow is. I imagine it's something like a fuzz that grows on top of your bones and they just scrape it off and then transfer it into the other person. So apparently that's already happened. They've already done the scraping over the weekend, and by Monday, the scrape's going to already have been done. But you also make a larger point of, why are they doing this? My goodness, if this is leading to Devon is not the biological father, are they just trying to undo the story that they just did 2 or 3 weeks ago because the fans didn't like it? I mean, I don't know about the why, but I think the what is pretty obvious. Superplex says, if we follow what the specialist said, it is much more likely that an absolute stranger would be a 100% bone marrow match to a patient than a parent, because each parent typically contributes only 50% of an offspring's DNA. So, following that logic, it is much more likely that Devon has no biological connection to Dominic than being the father. Of course, this could be another example of the show misdirecting the viewers into believing one thing and then it ends up delivering an entirely different conclusion. Yeah, that Devon has no biological connection to Dominic than he being the father. Yeah, so I mean, that's where I'm interpreting it too, that a 100% match means that Devon is not the father. And in next week's previews, we're seeing also Chance spiraling further by telling Devon that, oh, well, here we go again. You were able to step in and be there for Dom when I wasn't. Well, maybe what we're leading to is, okay, well, thanks so much, Devon, for saving Dom's life, but here you go, Chance. Everything's going to be fine now. You're actually Dominic's father. I don't know how that happened. I don't know how this sperm switcheroo happened and why we never noticed before, but here you go, Chance. Do you feel better now, buddy? Do you feel bonded to your son now, buddy? If he is your biological son? Oh, goodness. Or are we going to get some crazy twistola where Stitch is the biological father? I mean, that would bring like, some crazy drama. But I almost kind of feel like most of the fans have got to be saying, we're done with this. We're over this. We've been in this story for over a year now since they've been dragging it out and mulling it over since Danny Bowes left the show. It's been over a year. We're tired of it. Please do not even try to bring in another character that could potentially add to this kid's name. About Chance, Sandra says, I like this guy as Chance, but he's no Donnie Bowes. I couldn't even picture in my mind Prince Charming being so self-absorbed and not in tune with Abby's feelings. Danny the Donny Bose played a very thoughtful, quiet version of Chance, as though he observed the world around him intently before speaking, and I don't know, that portrayed strength to me. Yes, I know. I preferred that actor and his portrayal, absolutely. But Sue W. says, I may be in the chat minority, but I find this Chance to be a step up. I was kind of bored by the old version that I remember, just being a big old smiley lunk, either worshiping at the altar of Abby or morphing into a superhero mode to save the day. I like the flaws and the conflict that this one brings. New Chance seems more real to me, whereas I remember the old Chance as more of a caricature character. Oh yeah, that's a fair point. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of apples and oranges, isn't it? They're very different guys, and we're getting very different portrayals from them. Let's just talk a moment here about Chelsea and Ray. Sharita says, Chloe is noticing Chelsea's draw to Ray. I wonder if she's going to encourage her to steal Sharon's man. Ray seems to also light up in a way that he doesn't for Sharon. I think this is going to happen, Sharita. I do. I'm not sure if Chloe's going to be there to stoke the flames. It seems like Chloe just wants to tell everybody to not do anything fun lately. Chloe's usually there to tell you to not do anything fun, just focus on work. So I can't imagine her saying or doing anything other than that at this point. But I think you're right that this is happening. Ray lights up when he sees Chelsea, and Chelsea lights up when she sees him. Oh, Mariah and Tessa. Sherrod says, I loved everything about Tessa's present to Mariah. But what I liked the most about the song is that Tessa kept it real. Tessa referenced in the lyrics, this sacred space, our sofa bed, despite the mess, we confess, safe and sound. This was about catching Mariah cheating with Lindsay, and now if they really wanted some drama, they would bring her back, and she could be obsessed with Mariah. But Tessa declares, even with that, she chooses Mariah time and time again, every time. The part where Tessa is looking Mariah directly in the eyes at the end of the song and tells her, I'm not blinking. I choose you. I choose this. It was like she was desperately trying to get Mariah to understand just how deep her love runs. It brought tears to my eyes. Kate and the other writers did a great job in conveying Tessa and Mariah's relationship. That song, Sherrod, it was so perfect for Mariah and Tessa. So was that a song that Kate composed for the show? I mean, it makes absolute sense. It's just, I kept thinking, is this like a song that Kate like puts on her album and she just writes it from her own life, you know? Or is this a song that she wrote for the show? It has to, as you say, been written for the show because it's just so dead on. It's so specific to everything that Mariah and Tessa have gone through. And that's another way that Kate's contribution to the musical element of the show is unique from anyone else that we've had on the show or any other musical act that we've had on the show. It's not just a musical act. It's actually something that is an interpretation of the storyline. It's a continuation of the storyline. It's woven into the storyline. And I agree that moment where she leaned into Mariah and said, I choose you. That was meaningful, and it was totally spot on, relevant to where they are right now with Noah skirting around on the peripheral. Tessa says, I choose you. Know that. Well, Sharita says, my heart breaks for Noah. I think it's a sad situation. Unrequited love is just unfair. I loved his housewarming, but really, Valentine's gift for Tessa. I also really loved Tessa's song for Mariah. Yeah, you know what? Maybe that's it. Maybe it was kind of a Valentine for Tessa. I don't know. I don't know what to say about Noah. Is my heart supposed to break? I can't say I feel heartbroken for Noah, and it's probably mostly because I don't feel like the Noah-Tessa relationship was built up enough to be in. It was so long ago at this point. Mariah and Tessa have been together for so long, and Noah was, like 5 years ago at this point. So I feel like the bond between Noah and Tessa never got established enough for me to feel totally bad for Noah. It kind of just got brought up out of the blue. Noah just kind of popped up the second Tessa and Mariah are ready to move forward in their marriage. It seems like Noah's too much of a plot tool here to make me feel super emotionally connected to him or for him. The actor does a great job of giving sad face, and everything that he's done is good. I really like the character. I like the actor who's playing the character, but I think bringing him in just as Mariah and Tessa are getting happy, it's not. It doesn't make me feel enough for him. I would rather see him moving on. Oh, Ellen says, "Hey, Allie, Billy says his podcast will only take up exactly an hour of his time each week. That's highly accurate, right?" I really lit up when I read this comment, Ellen. Because it is very thank you for being in tune enough to think of me that a podcast is going to take an hour-long podcast is going to take longer than an hour to put together. Yeah, probably the people who do absolutely no prep work give you not a very good podcast would be my guess. The hour-long podcast that is just someone talking stream of consciousness is probably a little more difficult to listen to. It's hard to listen to people trail off and you just want to go, get back on track. What was what you were talking about? And I try hard to keep it tight, and that takes prep. So yeah, you're right. I would if Billy's going to do an hour-long podcast, then I would probably times that by, maybe 4. An hour-long podcast might take you, well, I don't know. I guess it depends on the topic or whatever. But, yeah, it's definitely a little more. Oh, Gary says the most obnoxious thing that Y&R could do would be to give Billy a forum for a podcast. Oh, Gary, you're not going to tune in to Billy's podcast? You're not chomping at the bit to get more of what Billy thinks about things? Well, let me ask you this, Gary, and anyone else who is voting in the negative on Billy's podcast idea. If you don't want to see a podcast for Billy, what do you want from Billy? Tell me, what do you want for Billy? Because I keep thinking, well, how wonderful. Y&R has pulled Billy out of this constant cycle of revenge with Adam. That's so great. And they're giving him new life with something he can do that's personal. It's not just him playing second banana to Lily at Chancellor Industries, although he's doing a great job of that. He's supporting her role. But now they've given him something that's his, something he can do on his own. And again, I think it plays into Jason Thompson's strength of delivering his material, that a podcast format seems like it would be a really good idea for Billy. But for those of you who don't like that idea, what do you want to see from him? What direction do you want to see him go in? If he's to stay at Chancellor Industries supporting Lily, would you like to see him do maybe some other type of business venture on the side? What do you want from the guy? Tell me. Naomi says, Billy is a disaster with no clue about doing actual work of any kind. He's best suited in PR and only during the annual golf tournament fundraiser. With the proceeds going to New Hope. He could possibly drive the golf cart for Lily and Jill. He could show up that day and hopefully do no harm, but the rest of the year he should stay home and out of the way. Oh, cut, slice, ding, we'll just like plop Billy down on the grill there. Sizzle, sizzle. Oh, you have slaughtered Billy Naomi. Let him drive the company golf cart. Oh, that's brutal. I think we've really yet to see Billy flourish and show his innovation. But you never know. The podcast idea could be it. It could be it. We could see him just break out and fly away in a way that we have never before. But then again, I'm an eternal optimist here. And I tell you, all of the changes that Y&R has made, and you can see it, you can feel it, you can tell that Y&R has cleaned house. And there's nothing I don't like. There is honestly nothing I don't like. Like, in my mind, the show just got back on track. I know not everybody feels that way, but everything that's changed recently has just made me a happy fan, with the whole Keemo thing being a dang cherry on top of it all. They have made me so happy. I'm totally impressed with the way that they have swept up. The only thing that's still lagging for me is the whole Dominic storyline. I would like to get the heck out of that, and maybe we're headed there. I don't know. But I tell you, the other thing that Y&R has done that's really made me happy and really added some nuance to the show is the Adam and Sally matchup. Michelle says, Adam and Sally on the couch. Hot. My TV just melted. Yes, and we needed that. We needed our TVs to melt. And not only that, but what really gets me is, like, Sally's new to the show. She's not, I don't know Sally as well as I know Adam, but I feel like I'm getting to know Adam, and that's meaningful to me. That's something that I'm really, got my eyes peeled to watch. Ellen says, Adam and Sally, when was the last time we saw Adam shirtless? If I can't remember, then it's been a very long time. Good job trashing that office, you two. Knocking things over, using all the furniture, and thank you for locking the door. I especially appreciated that detail. I didn't need to wonder if someone was going to come barging in, and after all, I know that one of the Killjoy Newmans will be raining down misery on you soon enough. I know. I love the way they trashed our office. The fact that even in the aftermath, they broke the stapler, which didn't look like a stapler. It looked like some sort of, it must have been a crystal stapler. They broke the crystal stapler. That's how hot it was. They broke crystal. But yet, I love that you hone in on the moment that she locked the door. She said, "Oh no, we're not gonna interrupt this. We're gonna do this, and we're gonna do it right." Click. Yes, it was so good. That was so good. Well, Daisy says, even though Adam pushed Chelsea away, maybe he's using Sally to show Chelsea that he has moved on so that she will too. But inside, he still loves her. It's crazy, though. Sally seems to be going down the same path she did when she ended up kidnapping Flo on The Bold and the Beautiful. I think Sally will realize that Adam is using her, especially when he keeps asking her to do his dirty work. She spied for him once. He'll likely ask her to spy for him again. So I can see her spiraling out of control and seeking revenge. Oh, that's interesting, Daisy. So you think that Adam is actually using Sally? Oh, I mean, I suppose anything's possible. I hadn't picked up on that vibe at all. I guess I was reading it more as that they were partners, and yeah, I think that Sally is definitely going to help him spy. I absolutely think she's going to bring him information. She did it before. Why wouldn't she do it now? But it is would be an interesting twist on the whole thing if Adam was revealed to end up using Sally and then she seeks revenge on him. And it sounds like maybe you're rooting for an Adam and Chelsea reunion. It just seems so certain that Ray and Chelsea are going to hook up. You never know how long these couples are going to last. Well, I asked you guys last week if you would give me your first impressions of our new Ashland lock. And I have to say, I was really honed into this conversation this week, and I was really watching Ashland a lot this week. 67% of you give our new Ashland lock, as played by Robert Newman, a thumbs up. 33% of you gave him a thumbs down. Now, I tell you guys, I voted to give the new Ashland a thumbs up, but I voted last Sunday, and I have to say, as the week has gone on, I feel less enthusiastic about him. I know that the actor is phenomenal. I can see it. I can see that he's totally capable of playing, and he's probably just playing the material that he's been given. But there's just something about him that throughout the week has just not been ringing real compelling to me. And maybe it's this from Ellen. He's much less likable since Richard Burgi left. I think I can root for his downfall now. New Ashland is kind of sinister. I didn't watch Guiding Light, so I don't have any baggage from his previous character. Maybe that's it. Maybe you just nailed it, Ellen, because I don't have any baggage from his character on Guiding Light. I don't know anything about him. But maybe the word sinister and also the phrase less likable are what's applying here. Definitely Richard Burgi had a way about him that was, sort of flippant. He was charming, and I could see what Victoria would see in him. I could see why she gave him a pass. He seemed like a little bit, maybe even a little bit of a snake oil salesman, but there was always a little bit of charm and a wink there on it, and I haven't gotten that yet from Robert Newman. Now, that is not to say that it's not going to come. Again, I think he's totally going to be capable of it. It's just that maybe the Y&R writers have given him Loch Ness Monster now. The fans have asked for Loch Ness Monster now, and they're going to give it. And it's just that we haven't had, Richard Burgi got to play the romance, and this Robert Newman hasn't gotten a chance to do that yet, and maybe he will. Henry says, I gave Robert Newman a thumbs up. I knew he would be great in his portrayal of Ashland Locke for several reasons. He's a seasoned soap star. He actually could pass in real life, in my opinion, as Burgi's biological brother. Given the fact that I was an avid Guiding Light fan, where Robert was a key actor as Josh Lewis for many years, it will take me some time to accept him as Ashland and not as Josh Lewis. But then it took me some time to accept the new Victoria when Heather Tom moved on to The Bold and the Beautiful. And now Hindley is a perfect Victoria in that regard, and especially in my view, Robert Newman will indeed be the perfect Ashland Locke. Oh, that's a good idea. Sometimes recasts just take time, and he's only been a couple of weeks. But of course, I was asking you just for first impressions, and that's all we have to go on. So we're just going to go with our first impressions. Tony says, I think Robert Newman is good in this role. He is a good actor and not silly, which Ashland is not. His character on another soap was serious and honest in a family of show-offs and deal-makers, Oklahoma oil business. He will make Ashland believable and maybe show a maturity to evenly match Victor and not just be a sidekick to Victoria. Tony, this is so good. You've totally hit it. He's not silly. And him being not silly is exactly what makes him seem like the kind of guy who could stand shoulder to shoulder with Victor Newman. And maybe that was more so the angle that they were casting from, giving Victor someone to go head to head with, as opposed to just, having being focused on casting Victoria's husband. Oh, that's a good comment. What else do we have here? How about Sue W., who says, it's been fun to learn the Chatter's takes on the new Ashland. I don't penalize Robert Newman for not being Richard Burgi, and I also don't penalize Robert Newman for adopting some of Richard Burgi's mannerisms in the transition. Both Ashlands have the, what I find pretentious, habit of tilting their head while hand-framing their words. Taking over an established character must be a fine line for an actor to walk. Fans will yell foul if you're a copycat, yet also slam an unrecognizable version. And it seems like a further challenge to take on a role from someone who is apparently a beloved actor within mere days. That's more jarring to me than having weeks, months, or even years between replacement. So kudos to the Y&R cast pros who didn't skip a beat, at least that I could tell, in the scenes with the new guy. Just another day at the office, I suppose. Yes, it's always so interesting to see how the other actors respond to the recast, especially when it happens in quick succession. They're just, they go on as if this guy has always been in the role, and it really does highlight how professional our other actors are that are around to the recast. But I love two things that you mentioned. First of all, that the fans will yell foul at a copycat, yet they'll also slam an unrecognizable version. So in a way, the recast has a very tough job. The fans are probably gonna yell about it, scream about it either way. There's almost no winning in a recast situation, especially when the previous actor was liked and let go suddenly. But I am chuckling a little bit at you saying that they both tilt their head and hand frame their words. It drives me nuts. It really does. I know the way that Richard Burgi used his hands to talk drove me nuts over time, but I haven't noticed the Robert Newman doing that. I'll have to keep an eye out for that now too. Marianne V says, I voted Robert Newman is doing a good job so far. It's funny that his real name is Newman. I hope they give him enough to do. Is he faking his illness? I doubt it. He had symptoms when no one was looking, but he did buy the clinic, so he could get treatment right away, and he's probably in remission now. He might really love Victoria, but I'm not certain of that. Maybe he just wanted to merge the companies. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's also possible that we could get to the end of all this and find out that he didn't fake his illness, that that's not what the story is, that there's something else that he did that's got nothing to do with his illness and won't impact his relationship with Victoria beyond maybe he had some lies of omission. But that's funny, his name is Newman, Robert Newman, and he's now on Young and the Restless. Didn't think about that, but that's a pretty good tie-in. Oh, how about this from Daisy, who says, Ashland seems to be pushing Nate to get on his team, but I don't think it's because he reveres and respects Nate and his medical skills. I think Ashland is planning for the worst case scenario, Victor discovering that he was never sick at all. And Ashland is desperate to hire Nate so that he can use him to prove that he did have cancer in spite of what Victor discovered. But Ashland was never ill. His plan is to blackmail Nate for some manufactured indiscretion to get Nate to go along with his facade. And as well respected as Nate is, Ashland thinks everybody will believe Nate and discount Victor's findings, or so he convinces himself. Nate has integrity, though, and also friends in high places, Victor being one. And the only way Nate could engage Ashland's lie is if he were spying for Victor to look for evidence that there was never any cure because Ashland was never sick. Yeah, what is Nate's role in this gonna be? I love your idea that Ashland could blackmail Nate into being on his side or saying what he wants him to say. Because we also had that moment several weeks ago where Elena and Nate were talking over the fact that their relationship has made waves at the hospital and people are questioning them, yada yada. And so maybe that could have something to do with it. I don't know. Maybe that part of the story just dropped. It seems like a couple of things did. Nate is seemingly very unhappy at the hospital now. I'm not sure if he is going to go work for Chancellor Industries. That almost seems like the better fit. Or if, he will go work for Newman Enterprises. And it's interesting that Chancellor would be the more logical choice for him to work with family. But maybe you're right that Ashland could pull a blackmail card with Nate to get him into Newman Enterprises or Newman Lock. Because the other thing is, this Ashland almost doesn't seem to fit into the friendship with Nate. I could kind of see the Richard Burgi version and Nate, they were sort of chummy, but again, there is something about this Ashland that is intimidating. He seems intimidating. He seems more severe. He just is less friendly with Nate. I just didn't totally buy their friendship, but then again, it's only one scene, one time. Excuse me. And so, I don't know, maybe Nate will play a role in the revelation that Ashland was never sick at all. I suppose, and once again, we're just going to have to see where they decide to go with it. We are certainly heating up for a battle at Newman Lock Enterprises, and Victoria says the writers may have given us some insights and foreshadowing in the Newman Lock fight. When Nick came to check on Nikki, she mentioned how Victor continues to set up a hierarchy which pits his children against each other. Their conversation led Nick to voice his concern that Nikki might be the fallout damage. Nikki mentioned her hope that Victor would have kept the family together through the company, and she then told Nick that not every relationship is meant to last forever. Could we be in for a war which separates Nikki from Victor because of his determination to man Newman and divide his children? Also, will Victor abandon Victoria when he finds out about her secrets and game playing? When will Ashland strike? And who will be the chess master in this fight? Oh, well, I mean, it's got to be Victor, right? He's playing 3D chess. I love what was it, Michael, that said that a couple of weeks ago? Like, oh, we're over here playing chess and Victor Newman's playing 3D chess. I don't know what the heck that means. Like, Victor Newman's playing chess with some aliens or something. He's playing on, like, another plane of existence. Victor Newman, like, slips through the wormhole to play his chess. All of us suckers are back here playing just regular, 2D chess? Meanwhile, me, I'm like, I don't even know how to play chess. I'll be over here playing checkers. Even at best, I don't think I could play 3D checkers. So I don't know. I can't wrap my brain around what the ramifications of all this will be for Newman Enterprises. But I do think it's an interesting pull from that conversation with Nick and Nikki that maybe we are going to end up seeing some discord between Nikki and Victor over all of this. I don't know if it would like rip them apart forever. I'm so happy that they are together. I much prefer to see Victor and Nikki at this stage of their lives being partners rather than enemies or divorcing or anything like that, but they can certainly both take sides. It can definitely cause some little arguments between them, which would be fun, but I'd like to see them stay together at the end of the day. We'll find out. Maybe Michael will tell us next week. Ellen says, how does Michael manage to look so handsome and healthy on a cell phone chat? I always look like I need to be rushed to the nearest ER. Yeah, I know. He did look really good, didn't he? He puts us all to shame. And not only that, but it's on his cell phone and he looks so good. I know, I don't normally like the phone scenes, but I did like the element of Michael calling Victor, and rather than putting the news about what he had found or what he was about to find forward, putting it in the front of the conversation, Victor picked up the phone and Michael just saying, oh, it's great here in Peru. I love the people. I love the culture. The food is fantastic. And Victor's like, I didn't pay you to take a vacation. And Michael just says, oh, no, I know how to make my job fun. That's another reason he should have brought Lauren with him. But I thought that was a nice little piece of writing and a nice little moment for Michael, too. Oh, he just adds flair to my screen. Well, let's end on a fashion note from Diana here, who says, I've noticed that all of the characters are wearing jewelry now. It's very noticeable, and we rarely saw this before. Necklaces seem to be very popular now, especially the layered gold necklaces, as they are the newest trend. Big rings are also seen on the characters now. Phyllis and Nikki were both wearing them this week. Phyllis's ring looked like the symbol from Star Trek. I was expecting Captain Kirk to walk into the Grand Phoenix and take Phyllis aboard the Enterprise. That is so funny. Everybody had to have seen that big ring on Phyllis's finger. Oh, and she was showing it too. She was making sure you saw it. She made sure to bring the hand up to show the jewels, which, by the way, is a very Catherine Chancellor thing to do. But Phyllis had her hand front and center to show us that Star Trek ring. Well, actually, it's kind of funny that you connected it to Star Trek, because I was looking at Phyllis's ring and I kept thinking, what is she wearing? A Ouija board mouse? Okay, my Y&R friends. That just about does it for me for the week. I really wish you all could have been with me in my living room when I first heard the word Keemo coming from my TV for the first time in 25 years. I actually did tune into the live broadcast on Friday, and just because I was just ready to find out what was going to happen for the week. And I mean, the whole episode was kind of, normal for me. It was usual. We had the Adam and Sally sex, and that was fun, but it was nothing to like blow my hair back. And then like the very last line of the Friday show, I could not believe it. I ran around the house like gasping and screaming, and like I literally could not breathe. I'm like, I cannot believe this is happening. My daughter thought I was crazy. Actually, I was like, it's Keemo, can you? She said, I know. She doesn't know, but she was like, I know. She just, I think, accepts that her mother is a lunatic. But it's really the most exciting thing that's happened to me in 25 years. Keemo, who knew? He better be cast. They better not be teasing me with this, because this has just made my day, made my week, made my month, made my life. Oh. If you're feeling like you're not on board with this, don't worry. I'll help you get there. I will make it fun for you. If you think it's not going to be fun, don't worry. I'll help make it fun. It's my specialty. Oh. Believe me, you guys are what makes it fun for me. Go to yrchat.com to leave your comments. Those give me all kinds of chuckles throughout my week. I don't always get a chance to dig in there and do responses. I'm usually sort of fast trying to get all of my photos and stuff uploaded to the site, but I do read every single comment, and many of the time I'm like, you must know that you do truly get my laughter many, many times throughout the week, even if I don't have a chance to say it. So yrchat.com, go check it out, go leave your comments, and come back next week. We'll find out where we are on the journey. I love you guys. I hope you have a really good one. Bye.